All right, guys. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create a little internal testing network within your computer using VirtualBox and, some guest OS systems. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and cover is going to be Kali. So Kali is a little suite for, network testing, penetration testing. So all that good stuff. Honestly, if it is, the security aspect of things is something that interests you, I would suggest going through the documentation of how to use some of the tools in Kali. It is a fairly, robust system. Now, in our instance, we're just going to be focusing on some very few tools in here. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is, again, you can type Kali inside of Google, and you can go to this page, and then you can go ahead and click Downloads. As you can see, we have a plethora of files that we can go ahead and download depending on the needs that we want, right? In this instance, we're going to focus on virtual machines that are already, pre-built for us. So going in here, we're going to go ahead and grab the VirtualBox. Now, that is because that is the VM that we are using. Now, if you can just go ahead and Google VirtualBox as well, and you can go ahead and download it. It is a fairly straight procedure, depending on the operating system that you're in. Since I am on Windows, I downloaded the Windows version, right? So in here, I'm going to go ahead and just click VirtualBox. In my instance, I already downloaded the folder. Let me go over to that. So when you download it, you're going to get a little zip file like this. And it's not really a zip file because it has a different extension. So it is a .7z file. So you're going to need to have WinRAR. I'm not 100% sure if it'll actually, if the Windows extractor will actually understand the file. So if it doesn't, just go ahead and download WinRAR, okay? So once you extract it, you're going to have these files here, and that's about all we need from that, okay? So now, over in VirtualBox, we're just going to go ahead and click Add, and we're going to navigate to wherever we have that virtual machine, right? So we're going to go over to VMs. No, not here. ISOs. Here we go. Kind of like, and we're going to select this virtual machine box definition and hit open. Okay. And believe it or not, that is it, right? So now I can go ahead and click start, and this is going to spool up for the very first time. Okay. Let me bring this into view so you guys can see it. Let me click start in here. If you see this message, is basically telling you that your mouse is going to be, be held captive, and the way you can get out of it is just by pressing the right control. All right, so capture. So as you can see right now, I don't see my mouse, and that's because it's kind of like being held hostage inside of the VirtualBox. If I hit Control on my keyboard, specifically the right control, it's going to go ahead and boot me out of that part. So right now, we're just going to let this do its thing. Now, I would also suggest go ahead and download another operating system. So for example, a version of Windows, Windows 10 is fairly easy to find. So all you need to type in is Windows 10 ISO. Windows 10 ISO, of course, and then just click on the download. And since I'm right now in Mexico, it's just showing the results in Spanish for this. Download Windows ISO image. Here we go. And again, it's like sending me to the Mexican version. But in here, you could just like click this. It's going to go ahead and show you, hey, by the way, it's going to download a little like program that's going to do the installation for you. This is basically telling you, do you want to update your current version of Windows through this, or do you want to download an ISO file, right? And as a matter of fact, let me just go over it with you guys. No, downloaded the wrong thing. It's this one. So do you wish to install Windows 10, right? So install the installation tool. And then you're going to be prompted for permissions, and then this little window is going to pop up, right? Let me close this because it's so bright. This guy is basically just going to tell you, do you want to install Windows 10 on your system as it is? Or do you want to download the ISO file, right? So it's wish it didn't take forever to do this. Come on. As you can see in the background, our Kali is done. So here we go. So in here, just make sure you click this part, create installation media. Then, we click next. And obviously it's going to try and like select the best version of Windows 10 that it can do for us. And, next. And then here, very important, click I want to download the ISO file, right? If you click this, it's going to ask you for the USB drive and all that good stuff. Right now, that is not what we want to do. We just want to download the ISO file. And once you click that, you click next, and it's going to go ahead and download the file to wherever you have things there, right? So I'm going to just exit out of this because I already have a Windows 10 installation. So in here, let me try and expand this a little bit more. Wow, not very helpful, but all right. So in here, the default logins, if I remember correctly, are just Kali and then Kali as well. Okay, and that goes ahead and that loads us in. Get rid of those. And then you can just like expand this. I believe these new versions of Kali already have like the guest edition, so we don't have to worry about, telling it how to behave and all that good stuff. So it's already going to like have native support for our operating system. Now, there are some things in here that we want to go ahead and check, right? So first of all, let me go ahead and open up a terminal here. And let me go ahead and open up a terminal over here. Nope, wrong window. So if I go ahead and do IP config on my computer, you guys can see right now where is it? Ethernet connection. Here we go. This is my current IP, right? Now, where is the Ethernet adapter 1? So that's my phone. So in here, this is right now my current physical network. Okay, no wait. This is Ethernet adapter, virtual adapter. That's my Ethernet. So many weird. Hold on. Adapter Ethernet 2. Got that guy there. And then this is Ethernet adapter bridge mode. So that's one for the virtual network. Bluetooth. Virtual adapter. That is interesting. Very weird. Need to check something on my network real quick. Be right back. All right, guys. So after some weirdness and looking up, it's just because I have the hypervisor, it kind of like created the, technically a virtual switch, so to speak, in here. So now all my networking is being routed through this, and this guy is basically just, being used, but not in a software capacity. It's just being used, just as, a physical pass through, right? So as you can see, like if I what was it? If I go to the details, this one actually has an APIPA address, so it's not like even functioning in that sense. It's just doing internal routing, and everything is being taken care of through this guy. So technically, this virtual Ethernet port here is my physical one, and I have this address, right? It just kind of like threw me off, but it is bridging it is bridging my connections. So this is my physical network. So now if we move over this and we try to like check this out over here, and let me increase the font size here so that way you guys can actually see a little bit better. Let's see, view, zoom in. Oh, there we go. No, it's not the key, shortcut key. Control++. Try that. And it doesn't do that. Zoom in. See if that looks better. Zoom in. All right, I think that is fairly visible. So in here, we're going to do IP, then ADDR. and go ahead and get that result back. So in here, you can see that the internal network for this is the following, right? So we have 10.0.2.15, and then with the mask of /24. So it is not matching up with what I have on my physical network. So we need to go ahead and change that. So how do we change that? Well, we can go over to devices, and we're going to go ahead and change this. Where are you? Network settings. So in here, you'll see that we have the attached network to be in a network address translation. So we're going to go ahead and change this over to a bridged adapter. Okay, so that way our hypervisor can go ahead and run normally. And you can see Hyper-V virtual adapter, and it's basically telling me, hey, who do you want to use in this instance? And again, through the situation we explained before, this is now, this is now the captain, so to speak, if you understand the reference. So we're going to go ahead and click this. Now, you might need to reset the virtual machine in order for this to take place. You see down, up. So we will go ahead and just reset the virtual machine so it takes full. So we're going to go ahead and shut it down. Go ahead and die. It goes ahead and dies on us, and then we're going to start it up again. Yes. Now, since it's already done its initial setup process, the boot should now be a lot faster than before. Just free my mouse from that. I'll go ahead and just pause the video while this, goes on. All right, and we are back. So we're gonna go ahead and again use the default login, which is Kali. Bring over the terminal. Jeez, I have to do that again. All right, hold on. Let me pause the video again while I make the terminal larger. All right, and I found a better way of doing it. If you go over to File, Preferences, then in Font, you can click Change, and then you can increase the size of the font, okay? And then just hit Apply, and then it should set to whatever you have it. So we're going to, again, do IP ADDR. And now, as you can see, I am using a physical address from my physical network. So again, now if I go ahead and run this again, you can see it matches the physical nomenclature. So 192, 168.50, and then, obviously the last value is going to differ a little bit, but that's fine. Okay. So that is going to allow us to interact with some of these elements. Now, there are still some things that we might want to go ahead and take care of just because Windows will sometimes get a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It might think that Kali is trying to do something nefarious. And to be fair, it is doing some invasive things to the network. So we're going to go ahead and just make sure that Windows doesn't treat it as a virus, right? And it just gives it doesn't bother it, right? So what we're going to do is going to go into Start. We're going to go into Settings. And if you're on Windows 10, it might be a little bit different since I'm on Windows 11. So in here, we're going to go into Update and Security. If I Windows Update, nope, Security. See, and right off the bat, I am already Windows Security. Here we go. So Privacy and Security, Windows Security, and then Virus and Threat Protection, right? So in here, we're going to need to go ahead and navigate to where we have our, instance of Kali, but we want to create an exception, right? So let's see, we're protection, virus and protection settings. Let's see, manage settings, real-time protection. Yeah, that's fine. Time protection, exclusion. So here we go. We're going to add in remote exclusion. Add exclusion. Ow, 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 ow. Give me one moment real quick. So in here we could select file, but honestly, let's just select a folder. That way we make sure that we have everything inside of Kali being taken care of. And we had put it here. So we're just going to select this folder. Honestly, we could just leave it with the ISO, but we're going to just select the folder where we have that, and then just select folder. And that is going to add it in there, right? And that is going to be enough so that way Windows doesn't actually like pester it. Okay. Now, again, those changes might require a restart from this, but in and of itself, we can try and see if we can now, for example, ping the physical resources. So let's see, ping 192.168.50.196. In this instance, it's still like not fully out of, so we might need to go ahead and have a restart with this. As you can see, it's not really working. Let me just try and ping another device on my network. Let's see what IP my cell phone has. Information. So let's try. There we go. So for some reason, I cannot ping the virtual switch. That more than anything else is probably just because, again, it is a virtual switch with VirtualBox, which is a bunch of weirdness. But as you can see right now, I'm pinging my cell phone, which has the IP20, and I am successfully being able to ping that, right? So Control-C to stop it. So now we have a virtual machine that is able to interact with our physical network. Now, just quickly, we're going to go over how to install, a Windows machine in here, so that way you can also use that. So other ways that you can go ahead and like close this off, obviously you can just like click on the little close part in here. If you want to save as state, it's going to save and pick up where you left off. You just want to like fully power off the machine. That's what I would suggest, so that way you don't start creating clutter in your system, right? So in order to add a new virtual machine, we can go ahead and just click new. And again, this is because I downloaded the Windows 10 ISO. And here we're going to say Windows 10 VM folder. So this is basically where it's going to be being saved at. So that's fine. And then we're going to select the ISO folder, and then just go to wherever you have your Windows 10 image selected. Grab it from there. Next, so in here, it's just going to create a virtual machine user. And here it's adding like the change name, password. Honestly, you can just add something in here. I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like that. VM user, we're just going to leave it like that as well. That's fine. And here again, depending on your machine, we're just going to add the 4 gigabytes. We're going to add 1 CPU, 2 CPUs, 3 CPUs, 2 CPUs be fine. We're really not going to use it for anything too intensive. And here we don't want to, we're just going to put this at around 20. And just write it off, 20 gigabytes. And we're not going to check this because we don't want this to actually use all 20 gigabytes if it doesn't need to. Next, finish. So in there, it has gone ahead and created the container. Now it's just going to go ahead and initialize and go through the process of installing Windows 10, right? Now, I'm not going to like sit down here and just go through the entire process with you. I'm just going to show you the main highlights because, again, this might take some time, right? Whoop. Close that off. And honestly, if you haven't done so already, just installing Windows is a process of like going through the motions, right? So start up. Come on. Eventually we'll get there. There we go. So now it's just going and start installing this, right? So I'll pause the video and then we'll continue once it's done. All right. It took a while, but it is there. Now, in my instance, it kind of like froze for some reason. If it does that to you, just go ahead and like restart the virtual machine. So go to file and then close and then shut off the machine. The installation process should, go over fairly smoothly. Again, for some reason, it did that on mine. Yes, Windows, thank you very much. So in here, we can go ahead and, again, do the same thing. So if we do cmd and I do ipconfig, you can see in this instance, again, I am inside a NAT network. So we need to go into devices, network settings, change this over to bridged, make sure we have the correct bridge adapter, select that. And in this instance, we can try a little bit different. You can see like I lost the internet connection in here, no internet access. And there we go. Now we are connected. So if we try this again, now we have another physical address. So at this point, things that we can start to do. Let me just spool up Kali again. And again, let me just pause this video so that way, it's already dragged on a little bit. All right, so here we go. So in here, we can go ahead and set up Kali, log in. Oh boy, that is big. Let me shrink that down a little bit. A little bit more. I do have the screen real estate. What am I doing? Go over here. So in this particular instance, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more so you can see it. So in here we have this IP. If we go over to Kali and we do IP address, it's not what I wanted to do. IP address, we have 15, 22. So now in theory, if I go ahead and ping from here, we are 15. I can now ping this virtual machine to this one over. So now we have a small environment in which we can go ahead and do some testing, okay? And this is where we're going to go ahead and cut the video. So in the next one, we'll show you guys a couple of extra things, okay?